And that's another question I was thinking about. Should we continue reacting or should we start being proactive? Like now, like, okay, we see this coming, it's happening. Do we just want to sit here and wait and wait until it gets worse and worse and worse until someone's knocking on your door, and they want to take you somewhere, like, and you're having this flashback in your mind, like, wait, my grandma was telling me about this. Like, this was happening to her 60 years ago, the same thing. Like, depending on how we react to what's happening now. And that's another question I was thinking about. Should we continue reacting or should we start being proactive? Like now, like, okay, we see this coming, it's happening. Do we just want to sit here and wait and wait until it gets worse and worse and worse until someone's knocking on your door, and they want to take you somewhere, like, and you're having this flashback in your mind, like, wait, my grandma was telling me about this. Like, this was happening to her 60 years ago, the same thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Do we want to wait or do we now start doing and being proactive, And I think that the answer, we have to be, just have to be. I mean, I'm personally trying to get that process going. I've been trying for years, so like it's not I haven't, it's hard to get both feet out. That's what I try to put it in. Like, you can get one foot out, but it's really hard to get that both feet totally out of everything, because for one thing, you have family and friends and etc. that are still, living hand in hand with, let's say, the system. You're trying to get out of it, and there's this inner conflict you go through. You know what I mean?
I always say this, and me and my wife, we talked about this a long time ago, but I always say this, and I stand firmly on this, on my stance, that there is no such thing as walking a gray line. You either choose that side or you completely get out. I don't believe that there's such a thing as a gray line. I think a gray line is a great lie. You still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you got to make a choice, basically, man. You either on that side or this side, and there's no such thing as I'm walking on a gray line, and I'll dabble a little bit here, and I'll dabble a little bit there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't eat at table of the devil and the table of God at the same time, type of thing.
That's a great line. So basically, one of the theories right now from across the pond, from our Russian friends are, and why I think this theory is credible, because I remember back in 2006, I heard about a document that was found in a Princeton University of, again, the enemy talking about, or foreseeing the future, and how in America's the climate will no longer be sustainable and acceptable for life. So what they want to do is move everyone over to like the Slavic lands, where the climate and atmosphere is supposed to get to a level of like subtropical sort of climate. So people from across the pond, again, especially in Russia, are saying right now that is exactly what they're starting to do, right? Just kind of tame the whole world, and little by little start moving Westerners over to those lands, and doing the same thing to us what they did to the Native Americans. What do you think about that? Like putting us into reservations and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's an ongoing process, because they've been doing that for thousands of years, slowly, bit by bit. But we're really like stubborn and and tough, so they've been having a hard time. Like, it went a lot faster with other people. That's what I think. You know, it just seems like they went into America and they pretty much took it over and replaced most of the population within a few hundred years, basically, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But they started that process with us. Julius Caesar, we're talking about 2,000 years ago.
Right.
And it's still ongoing to some degree, to a large degree, for sure.
But do you think right now with everything that's going on, do you think this will make the process faster? Because we as a Slavic people, first of all, we have been so disconnected from one another. We are continuously, we're doing the work for them. We're killing one another, man. And
yeah,
and we're just drifting further and further. Okay, so basically you back that up, that it's a plausible theory. You know about it. You said it's been going on for thousands of years. But again, do you think that it's going to happen now with everything that's going on? Or
I
do
don't
you
know.
think, or do you think we're going to continue being stubborn? Hopefully.
I honestly don't know.
Okay, so the second theory, now this is like a really crazy theory. My wife brought it up to me, and then I seen a couple videos against. It's from across the pond. So people like Jerry or Jeff Kissinger or whatever, the dude that Tom Warner, and not Warner, but the dude that owns CNN, and Bill Gates and David Rockefeller. So basically, we all know that they are known pedophiles, right? So the theory goes that them, along with Trump, throughout the years, they have kidnapped thousands, because we know in America, around 460,000 children go missing every day. So with those children, they say that a lot of these children, a large population, they placed in the secret tunnels under the city of New York. So now Donald Trump, to kind of erase his markings or whatever, his ties with them, has used this whole drill to bring the children out from the underground, because there have been reportings of nurses from the makeshift hospitals in New York that supposedly stand over the enterings of those tunnels. These nurses have reported that in a lot of these makeshift rooms, there aren't any even ventilators, and that they have been helping children that are in very dire health. Have you heard this?
No, I've never heard that.
Right. There are even videos, Russian videos made about this with millions and millions of views. Do you think that this is in any way plausible?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's based on, but I have no idea. I'm just wondering what it's based on.
So basically that they saying that all those thousands of children that they kidnapped throughout the years, that a lot of them were placed under these, because we know most of the metropolises around the world have underground tunnel systems. So they say that large populations of these children were placed in these underground tunnel systems. So now Trump is kind of going against the deep state, because he himself was so deeply involved in it. So now he wants to kind of erase his markings in it. So now he's bringing these children out from the underground in New York specifically.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who says that? Because you said someone said that.
There are two videos now that I seen. One was that my wife sent me, and another but basically people, again, from across the pond, Russian people, are speaking about this, and these are humongous channels with millions of subscribers and views and such.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I'd have to get more familiar with that, because that's pretty wild.
It's wild, right? But we can't put anything past these people, obviously, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, nothing sounds too far-fetched, right? Um,
No, because it's also a good it's a good cover for all kinds of secret activity right now, especially locked
exactly,
down. I mean, you can do certain things that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise.
exactly. So yeah, I think that, I don't know if I completely believe in that particular um, theory, but again, knowing them, it's plausible. Um, but like you said, I think that right now there's a lot, um, but also there's a lot of things that we cannot right away believe or listen to, because again, I think a lot of these very large platforms, as you even mentioned before, are using their platforms to kind of steer people away from what's actually going on.
Yeah, exactly. There might be just false like narratives that are being like the QAnon idea, for example, that some people are invested in. Um,
What is that?
I, I'm not. It's just there's some people that think that eh, it's kind of ridiculous, I think, but they're saying that the lockdown is like Donald Trump is basically a good guy, and the lockdown is just his way to keep us safe while he purges the bad elements out of the deep state
It's
and this
part it's so it's part of what I am talking about. That's exactly what it is. So you
that
kind of heard about this. See, I myself personally, I'm not backing that up at all.
yes, that's so that would be QAnon, like the basic story, and that from what I've heard, that's a CIA, story that's being passed around the internet.
To steer people away.
Yeah, but it's been around for a while, but now it's really kind of picked up steam, and it seems like it's a way to put people back to sleep and give them false hope, in my
Exactly.
opinion.
Exactly. Because one thing that I always keep telling people, think about this logically. There is no way that Donald Trump won the election fairly, and he's this good guy that's draining the swamp, as he says, and fighting against like this. This is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard, man. They knew
Yeah,
they
yeah,
they knew they were gonna have Trump in position when he was like a little kid, man.
yeah. He was a hand-raised gangster, you know, from a young age. Like he was just in circles with gangsters his whole life. He was a criminal his whole life. He was, on videos trying to steal people's wives away, you know,
A Kabbalist also.
a
Let's
Kabbalah, a publicly outed Kabbalist, all sorts of dirt on this guy. I can't, like, if you just took a few minutes to look at it, there's no way you could say this guy is like this clean, upright, upstanding guy.
plus how would they let him get there? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Exactly. It just makes no sense. I mean, when has that ever happened? Like, it's all selection circus,
Same thing.
with
Go ahead.
I was just saying with the so-called elections.
Same thing going on in Ukraine. I don't know if you heard this comedian Zelensky, won the
Yeah,
election, and all of a sudden people think that Mr. Moisha, this Jewish Messiah has come and he's just gonna, break down the whole system and save every. I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, like, really, do we really still, think that that's possible, man?
yeah, it's I don't know. People keep going back into the politics thing. A lot of people, like, it just seems like they never learned a lesson. Like they lied last time. They lied the time before that. You remember that? You remember that? Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So why would you trust them this time? Oh no, this time's different. It's different this time. Like why? Why is it different? It's the same exact program over and over and over. Like Donald Trump told all sorts of pretty promises, and now look what's happened. He's gone total 100, 360 degrees opposite from everything he was saying on his campaign trail.
It's the silliest thing ever that people believe it. I don't know if you're familiar. Just a quick story of how ridiculous this is. But this new president Zelensky, right? He had the most clever presidential campaign you ever seen in the history of the world, right? So he's a comedian, he's an actor. So a couple of years before the actual election date, he launches this series, this mini series, right? And in the mini series, he's showing how, a regular guy becomes the president, and he starts changing the whole system, and everybody loves him. And Tomek, even when I watched the series, it made me kind of want to tear up, like, oh my God, look at this great guy, right? So a couple years passed, and what do you know? Everything that he showed in the series, in the movie, actually freaking happens.
Huh.
And people still think that, oh my God, the Messiah has come, he's going to I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, like, really.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
So with the vaccination, I'm not going to keep you for much longer, I know you got to go. With the vaccination, um eh, how do we stay away from it, man? How do we make sure that we and our kids don't get vaccinated?
Um, well, just don't ever agree to it, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, but
because
what if they tell us you can't get a job, you can't go to school, you can't get on a plane?
yeah,
Yeah, this is where everything is headed.
yeah, and that's remember we were talking about hard choices, right? That might have to happen, and that might be one of them. It's gonna put, like, is it the money or is it is it our principles? Is it our soul? What is it gonna be?
Do you think any kind of chipization, or whatever you want to call it, any kind of chipping is going to go into the viruses also, like putting more chips into us,
I don't know.
like computer chips?
I mean, I think that's on the table at some point, whether it's going to be starting now or in the future, or if this vaccine's going to be like a delivery vehicle for that. Couldn't say. I've heard people, put that out there. I don't know.
Okay, so let's because I really, I take your wisdom to the highest regard. And anybody's gonna watch this, I really want them, to kind of get some help out of this. So let's say, you have a young family, a couple of kids, and in the next year, vaccine comes out. They're saying we all have to get it. What do you do?
If it was me,
Yes, you have a couple young kids. Like, what do you do in order, what do you do?
well, my policy is I don't believe liars. Like, you can tell me a fairy tale about how you take this vaccine and everything's going to be okay, and we'll take you to this camp and we'll take care of you and don't worry about it. We're here to help you. We're the government. We love you. We just want to help you. And I know they're liars. They lied before. They ruin my life every day. Why would I just believe them? But that's the thing. It's like we're tempted to give in to this naive kind of hope, like, oh, maybe they're just telling the truth and I'll take the vaccine and it'll be okay and I'll go back to life how it used to be. And we just have to, I mean, I would, me personally, I just wouldn't believe a word of it. And if someone came and tried to do something to me physically, I would just treat it like a primal thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, let's speak of it realistically. Your job depends on it. Your kids, let's say, obviously they don't have to go to school, but in the world that we live in, they got to go to school. You have to keep your job. You got to feed them. What do you still personally, what do you do? Do you just drop everything? And, like, how would you handle that?
See, I don't have children, so it's
No,
hard for me to.
no, but I'm saying, imagine that you are in that position. You got a couple of young children.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, it's
what do
hard.
you
It's
do?
hard for me to put myself in that position because I don't really know, what it's like. But I mean, I guess, it's time to really look at finding a way to live outside of the beast system, the this false economy and finding a real economy with real people, like going back to old ways and learning old skills and learning not to eat out of the hand of the master that's beating you. I mean, if we don't want this, if we don't want what the system is doing, we have to stop eating out of its hand first. We have to go back to finding a way to live without it. And if you're in a family and if you're in a tight position, like, you need to work with other people to do that. And you have to stand up with other people, and you have to resist with other people, and you have to talk with other people. And that's what I would say.
So is that your call to action, if you were to have any?
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess there's that phrase, like, what is it? Do we stand together or hang separately?
Whoa.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy, bro. That's so crazy you say that, man. So, but are we definitely seeing the fall of EU as we know it and America as we know it?
I don't know about the European Union, to be honest. I don't know. But I think that, yeah, America, it's kind of on its last legs now. It's like the beginning of the end. Like, it's stumbling and is about to fall. What I'm reading now, like, we're going into the greatest depression, the so-called depression that they've ever seen here. It's going to be worse than the Great Depression. We're already in it.
It's already surpassed that, from what I hear.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, I was outside today doing some stuff and, observing people, talking to people. So many people don't have jobs right now. There's some people look so unhealthy. They look so stressed. Everyone's swearing, fighting. There's just cuss words every second word out of people's mouths. So much tension. I can just see it. It's tangible that things have really degraded.
And this
dramatically.
This is in a very polite country you're in.
Yeah, this is in the so-called, like, the first world, whatever you want to call it, city, right?
But Canada is a very polite country, bro.
It is, yeah. Everyone's thank you, sorry, etc.
So you are really seeing this. You're witnessing this. You're experiencing this.
Yeah, I was watching this just today. And then, of course, the line at McDonald's is still just as long as ever. They didn't lock that down.
Me and my mom were talking about that. How ridiculous is that? When we are supposed to stay healthy, we're staying the most unhealthy as we could be. Lastly, do you think we will see any opposition at all?
Like, you mean from the people?
Exactly. Because you see, I keep stressing this ever since I started my channel. I keep stressing this. We just logically have to think of it that the power is on our side, because first of all, we are greater in numbers. Second of all, we are the teachers. We are the lawyers. We are the engineers. We are, I don't like scientists, but let's say like that's us,
Well, let me put it this way. We're the producers. We produce everything. They are parasites who steal the fruit of our labor, and that's the only reason they exist, because we allow them to do that. They don't actually produce anything. We literally produce everything. We just sit back and let them steal it, and they live off it. And then they turn around and take what they've stolen from us and try to kill us.
Great words, man. So do you think we will see any opposition, man, from the people? Do you think we will see, and at these times, do you think we will see the birth of some new heroes, man?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. Like, you're gonna see people who are not gonna, there's already people out there before all this happened. They already broke off the system. They went off grid. They did all that. They already did it. So it's not like there's no precedent. There's people that actually there's many examples of people that they haven't even been colonized yet. They're still living that way. You know what I mean? They still understand certain things that we have lost a long time ago. So it's not like this is unprecedented. It's not doable. And I think there's just going to be some of us who, you know, by God's grace, we will find the wisdom to operate in a new way, like your wife said, you know, like a change of our perception, our consciousness, right? And I pray that, you know, ourselves, we can find a path like that as well, you know what I mean? You and I and your wife, so, and our families.
Yeah, man. Yeah, me too, man. So basically, we are sticking to that. This was a man-made, uh, biological virus, but the virus itself doesn't even matter. But basically, we are shifting into a whole new paradigm of what the kind of world that they want us to be in, basically. And if we don't